As I mentioned, Tailor-Made Fitting Day is a week from tomorrow, June 24th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Appointment only. Sign up for that event at Cottonwood Creek Golf Course at TaylorMadeGolf.com. We're now joined by Micah Fugitt, Central Texan PGA Tour caddy, been a part of the tour for a long time. Doug Ghim, who is a former Texas star and also trying to get himself fully entrenched into the PGA Tour, PGA Tour. Is who Micah has helped and caddied, and he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. So how many times, I asked you how many times you've had caddied at Torrey Pines over the years, and so this is not like you've been there more than 2 or 3 times, about 15 or 20?
At least 15 times for the Farmers Insurance Tournament, and I was actually there in 2008, the one and only other time that the U.S. Open has been there, so I have quite a bit of experience around that place, yeah.
How do you think they will, I guess, modify the course for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines?
I guess the last renovation they did was a couple of years ago. They rearranged some of the bunkering. They lengthened number 10. They added a new tee box on number 15. Pushed it, I think it stretches to about 500 to 510 yards now as a par 4. But other than that, they haven't done a lot since the last U.S. Open they had there. Of course, once the USGA gets a hold of it, it's going to become a lot firmer, and the rough is going to be obviously a lot taller and thicker than what it plays in January when we're there for the regular tour event.
I mentioned this. We had Rob Bolton, who writes and does a lot for the PGA Tour.com and also the tour itself, about Torrey Pines' greens. Are they, I've played it one time. This is back in 1996. A lot has changed. But aren't they small greens? I'm not sure if they're like Pebble Beach small. But if you go U.S. Open with high rough and then you have small greens, how difficult does that make it?
Yeah, well, obviously, the smaller the surface, the harder the greens are going to be able to hit with the firmness of them. And compared to Pebble Beach, they're a little bit bigger, I think. Pebble Beach's greens are the smallest, probably right up there with Harbor Town and Hilton Head that we play all year. But yeah, Torrey Pines, most of the time, if you can hit the middle of the greens, you're going to have no more than 30 feet for birdie, and that's really all you're trying to do in the U.S. Open is just hit fairways and greens.
How does the U.S. Open strategy change from the other majors? And obviously, it's only been a year or so with the PGA being in front of it, but with those two in front of it now, how do you change after you've played two into what the U.S. Open does, which is obviously a lot different?
Yeah, the U.S. Open is obviously a whole lot different. The PGA of America, I think they do a good job setting up the courses, and if guys happen to shoot low numbers, then they kind of let the course play out. Is where the USGA, they can, if guys go too low on the first round, they're going to cut the water off and tuck the pins a little more severe spots, and their biggest thing is protecting par as much as they can. And then of course Augusta is being in the same date is obviously everyone saw how much more difficult it played in the spring than it did in the fall, just because of the firmness of the course. And that's what makes these U.S. Open courses usually a lot tougher. Is they firm up the fairways and the greens. That just makes everything smaller because everything's bouncing and running off everywhere.
When you were there in 2008, was that with Billy at the U.S. Open? I can't remember the timeline of where you were.
No, that was with Joe Ogilvy. I spent 2003 to 2010 with Joe Ogilvy.
Okay.
And then I started working for Billy in 2011.
So I've always wondered this, and you have to be in amazing shape, and this is such a simple question, but at the same time, there are some courses that are more hilly, undulated, whatever. Bottom line is it's 7,500 yards or whatever. Has there ever been a time, Micah, where you didn't think you physically were going to finish a round?
Well, yeah, Torrey Pines has some decent hills to walk up and down, but no, I've never I've never come close to not finishing a round. The only time I can think of was, I think it was back in 2003. We were in Springfield, Missouri on well, it's now the Corn Ferry Tour. And I think the heat index was about 110 to 115. And I almost didn't make it around just because heat exhaustion. But other than that, I've never had any trouble trying to finish a round.
Does the weather in San Diego make it easier to deal with a hilly course because it's it's not hot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess when we're there in January, it's probably the worst weather of the year. I mean, they have the storms, they have the wind, rain. Obviously, this time of year, I haven't really seen the forecast, but I think usually in this time of year, weather's pretty cooperative. It should be relatively warm for San Diego. I guess it's going to be in the 70s, maybe up to 80s, but that'll help them, firm it up, and I think it's going to be a really, really challenging Open this year.
When I see caddies in the outfits that you guys are carrying the bag, you see golfers now, we've seen what Koepka or DeChambeau or even what Tiger started, and among others that are now strong and wiry, and that's changed. How about your profession? You have to walk with that bag for 4 rounds. You hope you do, because that means your guy got to the weekend. Do you do any other physical training between a tournament ending, the Pro-Ams, and then also the tournament itself the next week?
No, me personally, I do not. I'm pretty fortunate that I'm pretty naturally athletic, I guess you could say. I'm not in the best of shape by any means, but I know there's certain guys out there that do work out. It's mainly, just having a strong enough back to carry around that 40 to 50-pound bag and having the legs to walk up and down the hills. But, yeah, there are some caddies out there, they hit the gym hard. I don't think it's any for reasons of carrying the bag around the golf course or anything, but I know guys, it's more about nutrition and really staying hydrated. We're coming up into a stretch of summer that that's the most important thing, is just staying hydrated and, and keeping your energy levels up by eating protein bars or whatever other means that you go about trying to keep up your stamina.
All right, so Doug Ghim, young, talented, UT. He's had some nice moments this year. I know it did not work out at the Memorial. Tell us a little bit about his progress. His rookie season last year got cut short because of the COVID pandemic with the shutdown, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise where he was able to keep his status and actually get a redo this year. And he's put in a lot of work, and he's taken full advantage of the extra year that he's received, and he's played well. I know he hasn't played as well as he would like to. He would like to be in contention a few more times. We have been up there, a few times this year. His main goal is try to get to East Lake for the Tour Championship. Mm-hmm. I spoke with him the other day. I said, the next best thing is making it to the BMW Championship, which is top 70, and that guarantees you all the invitationals for the following year, and it makes it a lot easier to make a schedule that way. His biggest weakness this season has been his putting, and he's hired a putting coach, and he's been putting in a lot of time and effort into getting his putting up to par, and I look forward to, if he starts making more putts, then I look forward to finishing out this year on a strong note, and playing good golf going forward. How much do you, and obviously each player is different, how much of the reading of the greens, the obviously the putts and all of that, how much feedback does he want from you?
In the beginning, he wanted a lot. And one of the things he learned by going to this, working with this new putting coach is he's not very good at reading greens. I don't know if we were just bad together. I don't know if he was not seeing the line that I was seeing. They did learn that he's very good at starting the ball in line where he wants to. I will say one thing: he grew up in Chicago, so being from the Midwest, he is more of a fan of bent grass greens. Doesn't mind Poa annua too much, but he really hates Bermuda. So that's kind of where I come in. When we're on the Bermuda greens, I'm more involved that way because I'm more experienced, obviously, growing up here in Texas, playing on Bermuda greens and reading the grain and whatnot. So as of right now, it depends on the type of grass we're playing on as far as how much I'm involved in reading putts.
Well, I'm surely not at any level other than like a 6 handicap, but man, bent grass greens. I don't. Those are that's as good as it gets. I know on the tour, everywhere you go, it's like putting on ice. But I mean, it's just what is the difference the way the bent grass is read compared to something else?
Well, the bent grass obviously doesn't. It does have light grain, but nothing like Bermuda.
Right.
So it reads truer. It rolls smooth. What you see is what you get usually. Whereas you could have grainy Bermuda greens, and if the grain's going up the hill, it could literally keep the ball from breaking. One thing you're going to see this week in Torrey Pines on these Poa annua greens is late in the day, you're going to see a lot of putts that are bouncing all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to probably see more than normal, a lot of putts inside 6 feet missed than normal, just because of the condition of the greens and them being Poa annua.
Hey, by the way, I'm not an Instagram guy, but I saw a picture when I Googled your name of the big pool you have in Lorena, Texas. You got yourself a setup there. Is that still where you are?
Yeah, yes, sir, it is. We've been here for 3 years now this month, and we've been enjoying it. The pool's been getting a lot of use the last couple of weeks with all this warm weather.
I'd be surprised if you're not doing the interview right now standing.
Sitting in the pool. And it looks like that's
I'm actually sitting on my back patio in front of the swamp cooler. So.
Look at the color of your pool. It's got that almost cool aqua, dark, whatever it is, color, that blue. It's beautiful. Go have fun. Sorry to bother you on your week off. Thanks for your time, Mike. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Anytime we can, we appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me.
That's Micah Fugitt. He's a caddy for Ghim, played at Texas. He's trying to get his full card. I just happened to see that. That was from about a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago. His beautiful pool from Pool Time in Lorena, Texas. Give them a little plug. And he, of course, and a lot of you asked me, hey, ask him about when Billy Horschel won the Tour Championship. He got rich. He was a caddy. It's a $10 million or whatever it is, and Micah got a nice percentage of that. There was 1 year, I'm not sure exactly, it might have been 15, where his earnings as a caddy were over $1.5 million. I love the guy. He's been fantastic. I've met him a couple of different times, and such a calm, down-to-earth guy. Guess who he's caddied for? Billy Horschel, who's kind of a little bit of a DeChambeau. So he's dealt with, last time we had him on, if you remember, he's talked about having to deal with personalities.
We asked him about the last year when Bryson got in that Tin Cup situation, and what tournament was that in where he did not like that they wouldn't let him take a drop, and it was clearly behind it was behind the fence.
2 shots out of bounds.
Yeah,
is that right?
And so he decided that they wouldn't let him, so he had to take a penalty. He didn't like it, and then he just kept he was ignoring his caddy completely, and he kept trying to know, I can do this because I'm big and strong and I'm Bryson DeChambeau, and it that was strange to watch.
Exactly a year ago. I just looked that up, and I thought it was the one in Charlotte, or I don't know, where I can't get this, all these cookies and stuff like that pop up on the site that when you try to get anything anymore. But, he had a meltdown on 15. There's no question about it. And let me see. I want to find it. I want to know. I need to know now. Not that anyone else cares. It says at the Memorial. So not sure if that was at the Memorial, but I thought this was back in July of last year. I think it was maybe a different tournament than that. All right.